Hey guys, welcome to this video. My name is John Watts. I'm a consumer protection lawyer, and we're going to start a new series. It'll be quite a long series because we're going to go over every section of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA. And so we'll start with the very first section. So this is section 1681. And you'll notice up here that as a lot of these laws passed by Congress will do, they'll say, hey, here's what we find. Here's our statement of purpose. In other words, here's the problem and here's why we are passing this law. And this becomes very valuable because when courts look at the law and say, well, how do we interpret this? They can always go back to, well, what was the purpose of the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act? And so we'll look at each of these sections, but I've highlighted in yellow just some words that I want you to notice. Just accuracy, fairness of credit reporting, accurate credit reporting, inaccurate credit reports, fair credit reporting, unfair credit reporting. We come down to section A4, we talk about fairness, and then subsection B, fair and equitable accuracy. So we start to get an idea, even without reading the context of it, that Congress is concerned about credit reporting being accurate and being fair. So let's look and see exactly what it says. So we have subsection A, and it's just titled Accuracy and Fairness of Credit Reporting. The Congress makes the following findings, and then we have 4 of these findings. Number 1, the banking system is dependent. So this shows you how important this is. Dependent upon what? Fair and accurate credit reporting. Inaccurate credit reports directly impair the efficiency of the banking system, and unfair credit reporting methods undermine the public confidence, which is essential to the continued functioning of the banking system. So if we just stop there for a moment, we say, pretty important to have a good banking system, but we have to have accurate credit reporting and fair credit reporting. And here's what happens when we have inaccurate credit reports. That impairs the efficiency. So the efficient banking system is based upon having accurate credit reports so that proper decisions can be made. Well, we could have accurate but unfair credit reporting, and that undermines the public confidence. And if the public says, you know what, the banking system is completely unfair, credit reporting is completely unfair, then that will really damage the banking system. So it's not that fair and accurate credit reporting is only for the benefit of consumers and that hurts the banking. And no. Fair and accurate credit reporting is essential for the banking system to work. So sometimes banks say, well, the fact that we have to do fair credit reporting, accurate credit reporting, that's really a burden on us. And what Congress is saying is, no, guys, this is something that you in the banking system must embrace, because without fair and accurate credit reporting, there is no banking system. All right, so let's look at section A2. It talks about an elaborate mechanism has been developed for investigating and evaluating credit worthiness, credit standing, credit capacity, character, general reputation of consumers. So this is not some simple thing. It's a pretty involved system, or as they say, an elaborate mechanism. So we have to understand that when we're looking at our credit reports, when we're trying to fix errors on there, that this is not just a super simple thing. This is something that there's a lot of moving parts, and we can definitely fix any errors, okay? But we just have to appreciate that this is complicated. And this law was passed, I think, in 1970. And so we're talking about, back then it was very elaborate. It's even more so now. Well, let's look at subsection A3. Consumer reporting agencies, those are going to be companies such as Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, Innovis, SageStream, but also a whole host of background screening companies, tenant screening companies. So this is not just on credit, even though we call it the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So we're talking about consumer reporting agencies. So anytime they're gathering information on consumers, this will be covered. And we'll see definitions coming up soon. But these guys have assumed a vital role in assembling and evaluating consumer credit and other information. So this might be crimes, arrests, number of car wrecks you've had, whether the wrecks are your fault or not your fault, all sorts of information. And then subsection A4 says there is a need to ensure that these consumer reporting agencies exercise their, look at this, grave responsibilities. It's not just some flippant thing or, when we point out errors, these consumer reporting agencies will say, well, what's the big deal? Or who cares if we make a few mistakes? We're private companies. We can do whatever we want. No, they're reporting on consumers. We have no right to say, you can't report on me. They choose to report on us. And so Congress is saying, look, we have to make sure that they exercise their grave responsibilities with what? Fairness, impartiality, and respect for consumers' right to privacy. Now, again, all these terms are not yet defined. And I will point out, I just copied this straight from the text of the law, and I'll give you a link, the Cornell website. And so every time you see something with blue, that would be a hyperlink if we were there on the website. So, we can start looking at these definitions, but without looking at the definitions, we start to get a feel for this, that Congress is saying it's so important that this complicated system, that this vital system be done fairly and accurately. And we also have to respect privacy because we are compiling a lot of information, and it's not necessarily positive information. It can be negative information, but even the positive information, we have to respect the consumer's right to privacy. Now, here's the final part of Section 1681, and this is subsection B, reasonable procedures. So here we go. It's the purpose of this subchapter, and the subchapter would be all of this FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act, to require, not to suggest, not to say, hey, it would be a fabulous idea, but no, to require that consumer reporting agencies adopt reasonable procedures for meeting the needs of commerce for consumer credit, personnel, insurance, other information in a manner which is fair and equitable to the consumer with regard to the confidentiality, accuracy, relevancy, and proper utilization of such information in accordance with the requirements of subchapter. So they're saying, look, we're just telling you, we're setting up this law to make sure that you, the consumer reporting agencies like Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, have reasonable procedures to make sure everything is done fairly and accurately. Now, when this law was passed, it wasn't so much concerned about the furnishers of information. So those are the companies that provide or furnish information. It was more focused on the consumer reporting agency, those who compile the information and then sell that information to potential creditors, to potential employers, potential apartments that we might rent from, any number of companies or users that might want to use this information. We're saying the consumer reporting agency, you better have reasonable procedures to make sure everything is fair and accurate. So what we'll do in this series is, I think there's 30 sections, okay? We're not going to go through, every single day, but maybe every 2 or 3 days, I'll add a new section in there, and we'll have everything linked up so that we can, so as you're watching this, you can easily find either from the video or in the description or in the comments how to go read the actual law and how to find the, a previous video or maybe the next video in the series. So appreciate you guys watching this. Always feel free to put comments. You're welcome to like this video, to share it. If you know somebody that you think might find this interesting, feel free to share it with them. And if you get value out of this, feel free to subscribe. And I will look forward to talking to you guys in the next video. Okay, have a great one. Bye-bye.